Hey guys, Flo from Off to Lens here, and I'm sure a lot of you have been watching the Blackmagic event that just happened. And I don't really do this kind of videos, but because it contains Blackmagic, I thought I'd share my initial thoughts on the new camera that I have just announced, which is the BMPCC6K Pro. Also, feel free to let me know in the comments what you think about it. I'm happy for this video to become some sort of like discussion or forum about the new camera. So first, let's talk about the camera a little bit. So what is this new camera? As the name suggests, it's essentially a BMPCC6K, but the Pro version of that. So it has all the same features as the current 6K, but with new ones and a slightly different form factor. So we now have a tiltable, adjustable screen, which is 1500 nits, longer battery life. We also have ND filters, and we have also dual mini XLR inputs. So now the things that I'm really excited about. So I've been shooting with the BMPCC6K since its release, but I'm mostly a documentary filmmaker. So out of all the new features that come with the Pro, there are three main ones that really interest me and that are really important to me. So having a tiltable, adjustable screen that is brighter means that I won't always need a monitor. I love the screen on the 6K, but you can't really get low or high angles with it if you don't use a monitor. So the new HDR LCD is actually 1500 nits, which is quite impressive for a built-in screen. For example, my Focus 7, the small HD, is 1000 nits, and I use it outdoors on pretty much any situation. So having 1500 nits means that it should probably be okay for any sort of situation, even if it's super bright outside. Next is ND filters. This is probably my favorite new feature. Coming from the Ursa Mini Pro and the C200, that's something that I really miss on the Pocket 6K. It took me a while to go back to a body that didn't have internal NDs, and it's such a handy tool to have when you're shooting, and it makes the shooting experience a lot easier, a lot better. You don't have to swap filters, for example, or to bring a filter for different sizes, or step up ring, step down ring. So having internal NDs makes everything easier. And I think these ones are actually R&D filters. I'll need to double check, but that would be amazing. So we now have a 2-stop, 4-stop, and 6-stop ND filters, which is pretty much everything that you need. And the third one is longer battery life. So I actually shoot sometimes with the internal battery, the LP6 batteries, and I also use external V-Lock batteries, which doesn't really bother me to do this. It adds a bit of weight, but for longer shoots, documentary shoots, or when it's really cold outside, it actually helps a lot. But sometimes it's actually very handy to be able to shoot with internal batteries. If you need to put your camera on a gimbal, for example, if you want to run a super light and compact run and gun setup. So I think they've made a good decision switching to a larger battery life, because that means that whilst it makes the body maybe a little bit bigger, it also means that you don't need an external battery as much as you would normally. I actually have a lot of those NPF batteries because they're the ones that I use for my lights and also for my monitors. So on top of that, they've also announced an EVF, which is quite interesting. I've always used to shoot on EVF on the C100 and C200, and I actually like it. I've made a video recently about the portkeys, so I'm curious to see how this one compares to it. Knowing Blackmagic, I think it would be pretty good, but yeah, I think it's a great feature to have, and it's a great add-on to the camera, especially for documentary work. So my final thoughts. I like that it chose to update a current model rather than releasing a completely new one. I think a lot of people have been asking for longer battery life, for an adjustable screen, a brighter screen, and also to have ND filters for people like me that shoot a lot of documentary work when the light conditions change all the time. That's super handy. And for $2,500, I think that's very impressive again from Blackmagic. So I'm curious to see like what kind of people are going to be using this camera and how many people are actually going to upgrade from the 6K to this one. I'll try to get my hands on one ASAP, so stay tuned. I'm curious to see how it will perform on an actual docu shoot or commercial shoot, but also I'm curious about the body itself because it looks slightly bigger, probably heavier as well, so I'm curious about that as well. So let me know in the comments what you think about this new camera, what are the features that you're most happy about, and if you intend to get one at all. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.